So we're making some picture frames for canvas prints. So essentially, what happened was I bought some prints from China off Amazon, and they're on canvas. They're big, large posters. And there's a five-piece set, and they'll kind of like piece together, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But essentially, you have just a canvas sheet that you're going to lay on top of some wood boxes. So I'm going to show you how to make those wood boxes in terms of what to buy and measurements and just how to put it all together. Just a heads up, for me, I'm kind of just like, we'll do it and like kind of just see how it turns out. I know people want like exact measurements, but you're not gonna get that with me. So yeah, so here's I've done one. So there's a five-piece set for me. So I've made one frame. So this is what this looks like. So essentially, this is a it's a five-piece poster set of a Porsche, a modified Porsche. I got off Amazon. It's actually this was only $30 for five pieces, and you can see I'm a pretty big guy, and they're pretty big, so it's gonna end up looking pretty sweet. Um, yeah, so you can see here, I kind of just made a box out of wood, and I stapled with these staples the canvas on, and it's a nice tight canvas fit, and you can kind of see it's pretty tight on the edge there. Okay, so we're gonna do a few things. First, I'm gonna run down what I purchased. So I went to Home Depot and I was looking at getting like large, long pieces of wood. I ended up finding these. These are actually dowels. They're called dowels. They're like marked at the end there, so that you can get them at craft stores and whatnot. This one's made out of pine. Pine's a pretty strong wood. When you're like me and you don't really like to make measurements and do anything like that, or make like really precise measurements, you need extra material. That's like you're gonna mess up, right? So I got a ton of these dowels, and I have these L brackets. So I kind of like these because they help me get a right angle, and so like you don't have to make 45s when you're cutting these things. You can put them like edge to edge and just line it up with the bracket. And you know the bracket's 90 degrees, so like there's another like part of measuring that's taken out completely. So I think this is more along the lines of like just like an easy build for this kind of just getting them out of the way. You can do this and you can do start to finish in a day if you're doing even if you're doing like five pieces like I am. This one first piece took me about, I would say, hour and a half, and that's from scratch with like no measurements and not really a strategy. And I got a strategy and measured. I was able to make it and kind of like make sure pretty good quality in an hour and a half. Okay, so let's get moving. So here we have a few more pieces to the puzzle here. So here I've measured out a few sticks, like very imprecisely, and kind of mocked it up and made sure I had like the lines done. You can kind of see here, and this is kind of like an easy way to do things without having to measure everything out. So I just left side 29 and 1/16, and then I'll just cut there, and I know that's that piece. It's already marked. So whenever you're cutting things down, I definitely recommend marking it like this. And you can see how then they're the different pieces, even though they line up, are they're different sizes. So that's kind of a bigger picture of what we're doing here. Okay. So this is the staple gun I have. Man, this thing's sweet. Let's see. It's like this was the Tacker staple gun kit, and it had these three different sizes. So I'm using the square ones right there. But I think these circle ones, these loop ones on the edge, like that, I think that's pretty cool. I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a shot. It looks pretty sweet. But the way this works is you load up the staples in this. You throw them down there, and then you're ready to go. And so you pull the trigger, and essentially it just jettisons a staple out of that end. That's how a stapler works, FYI, in case you were wondering. So, I have my next piece here. Okay, so this is how I'm measuring this portrait out. So essentially, I have this edge rolled up to the edge there because you needed to go around the edges like I do in the previous photo. So the edge has to go up to there. So you bend it. You kind of see how I'm bending it, and so that lines up perfectly. And on this side, I have a little cutout piece here. That was just a scrap piece from the previous one. And I'm putting this on the edge. Roll it up. Mark it. Let's see. Oh, shit. It's hard to do this when looking at the camera and to look a little bit of a live delay. There we go. So let's measure this out. Man, it's hard to. Okay. So it looks like I have 18 1/4. We'll go to 18 1/4. I think that's about right. I originally thought this was going to be 17 1/2, but 18 1/4 seems like a more a better match up there. Okay. So how I do the other edge is I roll it out a little bit, and I kind of do the same thing, but in the opposite direction. So like I line it up there, and then I'll take my piece like this and kind of just measure it out exactly the same way. And it's you kind of just you eyeball it. I mean, the thing with this is like, okay, you can make a perfect frame, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It'll look the same. It'll look honestly the same, whether or not it's perfect lined up or not. So you eyeball it. At least I'll eyeball it. And don't make any like crazy mistakes. Don't make any major oversights. It shouldn't be an issue. So I'm gonna measure this over here. I already previously measured it. I know they're exactly 9.5 because of the previous one. And every picture in the series, is the same width. So I don't have to measure that again. So I know they're 9.5 for each photo. And then I'll show you next how I cut them, and then we'll just put them together. It's actually, there's not that many steps. There's like one. Okay, so obviously you gotta buy the stuff, right? But I've given you that list, and you know that. You lay them out. You throw the dowels on top. You mark them. You measure them out. You double check your measurements as fast as you can, like me, and then you make some cuts. You got to get it set up. You make some cuts. You drill some holes. You screw some screws, and you're there. And then you staple some staples into canvas and wood, which is that's actually the trickiest part. Actually, not not being facetious. Like there's actually a tricky step up ahead. And so how you put the corners together, like this. Let me show you. Put the corners together. I mean, some people would like cut like a 45 like this, like that, and then they would cut another 45. How would I make this match up here? Like this, and then they would just cut those pieces and line them up like that. Man, that's so much work. That doesn't seem like it's worth it. At least not on a project like this. At the end of the day, man, it's just it's something to have fun with, and then you put it up, and then you can tell people you did it, and they'll be like, "Oh, you know how to work with wood?" And you're like, "Fuck yeah, I know how to work with wood." So yeah, no pun intended. Tip: you can always mark the tape measure with just a marker. It'll come off. So this is what they look laid out, and this is kind of like my final measurement before I can kind of eyeball it and see that, hey, this looks like it has enough on each end to wrap around on each corner. I can't wait to see this one. This is going to be so sweet. This is the big one. So we're outside, so I'm going to show you my my just setup here. So essentially, I have this piece of wood here, and I just have a jigsaw with like a wood blade in there, and I'm just sitting on this thing. So let's give it a shot. I know these things vibrate quite a bit, so I'm gonna try to do this while looking at the camera. Okay, that didn't work. All right. Oh crap! I've been doing this whole video and I gotta do it like this, don't I? Oh, widescreen. All right. Okay, so 2 lessons when you're jigsawing that. You make sure you stabilize both ends of what you're sawing. Learned a lesson there. Essentially, but I'll show you. So, what I did was I brought the edge that I wanted to cut. So, say if I wanted to cut this edge, I'd bring it really close to the brick there, and then I held it down with this glove. You want to wear this glove because it vibrates and you don't want to get a splinter. I held it down and it actually cut pretty smoothly, so I'm happy. So I'm gonna cut the rest of the pieces and then we'll move on to the next piece, next part.